Hello, Oracles. How is everyone doing this evening? Woo, trying to get myself back on a schedule here. I apologize. It's been crazy on my end. I've got a lot going on, but I'm doing my best for you guys. And Tesla stock is doing better than its best right now, having an amazing run at the moment. Very excited about that. Let me get this straight here. So yeah, yesterday on the video we were talking about closing above 208, and we sure did that. We pushed pretty close to 220 today. My cost basis is 221, so getting to 220 was pretty nice. I'm down like 3%, unbelievable. But again, we knew long term this was going to happen anyway. We'll get into more of that in a minute. I'm trying to see what new gaps are. I'll check over the weekend. It's hard to see them right at the moment, but what's going on, Karav? Hey, Bobby. Lang, what's going on? Hey, Raymond. Yes, good point, Karav. If anybody hasn't noticed yet, breaking every Model 3 variant now is qualifying for the $7,500 tax credit. So lots of great news coming out for Tesla. So not only that, but another reason for the push today, amongst other reasons, was in China. They have extended the tax credit for electric vehicles over there as well. So that's huge. That should bump up the that should bump up demand. Now, of course, when we talk about demand, we have to remember that it's not a Tesla specific demand issue. It is an automotive market demand issue. Tesla is still growing. And the issue that they're having is, as Elon said, interest rates, especially in the US, being so high makes it difficult for people to purchase vehicles. Thinking about the fact that, if you're purchasing a vehicle and you're paying, 6 to 7% interest, that's 6 to 7% more on top of the vehicle price that you're already paying. So that's significant. And so that's not going to change anytime soon. The EV tax credits obviously help to put a buffer on that. So the things to remember are when the interest rates do start coming down, that's going to reverse this effect when it comes to the demand issues. It'll reverse the effect across the board. At that point, when it happens, there's going to be a lot more players that have a more substantial EV presence. Ford, GM, obviously we make fun of them, but in 2 years, they will have more of a footprint than they do right now, or at least let's hope they do. And at that point, even they will be benefiting from interest rates coming down to increase that demand. So Tesla, obviously being the biggest player out there, is going to reap the biggest benefits from that. It's just a matter of getting to that point. So if Tesla can still build up this demand, and with the EV tax credits, if all the Model 3 variants are qualifying for it right now, we'll get into the Highland in a minute. Don't know what's going on with that. Hopefully we get information next week. But with all of that, if that becomes a vehicle and the Highland is going to be a significantly lower cost vehicle than we have right now for the Model 3, that was the intention behind it. If that is the case and they lower the cost on that vehicle, that's going to be a lower cost, bigger margins. The EV tax credit is available for all of it. Then when we have the interest rates coming down, that bumps demand up even more. More people want to buy it. Then Tesla might actually be able to go up on prices if that is the case. If not, it doesn't matter because they're making even bigger margins. So lots and lots of great benefits coming out of this. Yes, Isaac, loving this. How's your Tesla portfolio? So my whole portfolio actually right now is the highest it has ever been. I just broke $20,000 in my portfolio for the first time. Now that is just my specific portfolio. That's not in my IRA. That is not the cash that I have in CDs. That is just stocks and the cash that I have put aside in that portfolio for stocks plus my crypto. So broke $20,000 for the first time. Very excited about that. Tesla, again, like I said, down like 3% only. That's pretty awesome. Pretty happy about that. And on Monday, I will officially have 69 shares of Tesla stock. So very, very exciting to see all of this going on. Johnny, what changed? So a lot of it is the macro. So, we've seen what's going on with AI. We've seen what's going on just with the entire market in general. Obviously, we've been beaten down pretty hard. We did see a nice run for the first half of the year. A lot of the big tech stocks have been doing extremely well. So all of them having good numbers are coming up. But we have to remember that they've been laying people off as well. We got the jobs numbers that came in today. So unemployment is going up, which was kind of anticipated and expected. Not a bad thing, because what is going to end up happening is what we wanted to happen anyway, which is making sure that we keep inflation coming down and squash it. We are moving in the right direction. We're going to be getting CPI and PPI next week, I believe. I got to double check the dates on that. But these are the indicators that we had talked about before. We're expecting the Fed to pause. We had an indication that the Fed might be raising rates again by 25 basis points. However, new information coming out indicates that the Fed's most likely going to be pausing. The pause, when we had Adam on here, we discussed historically, is when we see the market start to run. But after that run, when the Fed pivots, that's when we see the market pull back significantly. That is due to the fact that when the interest rates are high for an extended period of time, we end up seeing these companies that are doing very well right now, these people who are losing their jobs, there's less money flowing through the market. You're going to have already the Fed running off their balance sheet. That's less money flow coming in anyway. Then there's going to be less people who have jobs. Unemployment goes up. That means less people have money in their pockets to spend on things. Investing is one of those things that they won't be able to invest in. So, because there's less people investing, that's just less money all going into the market altogether. People start taking money out because now people are unemployed and say, shoot, I got bills I got to pay. Where can I get this money from? I'm going to sell off some of these stocks that have been running because the Fed paused. Those stocks have run. They sell off, make some profits. They can pay their bills. And, that spiral kind of continues down. People start to see that sell off happening. Then that trend continues and like, all right, we must have hit the peaks. We're going to sell off, continue that selling. And then we see a similar scenario to what we saw last year. So what changed really was just the fact that we've now got to the point where the Fed's most likely going to pause. We can have some time to run, and then that's going to fall down. In my opinion, maybe it doesn't, but as of the data that we're seeing right now, it seems like that is going to happen down the road. Yeah, and if Karav here, I feel like most big tech companies have gone through their earnings recession. Tesla is going through it now. I updated my model and have a 6% EPS growth versus 2022. So good point there. If you look back at like Nvidia basically bottomed back in the summer of last year. We talked about it last year as well. You're not going to know that we've hit the bottom until 6 months after we hit the bottom. So Nvidia, I noticed that at the beginning of the year, I was like, oh, they basically hit the bottom back in July or August of last year. Tesla, maybe 100 was the bottom, and maybe we are climbing up now. Again, I do still think, like I said, I think we're going to get that recession at the end of this year. We're globally, I think we're going to have that. We're going to have a pullback. We're going to have the stocks pull back. So this run, while it's awesome, I'm using it as an opportunity to clean out some of the stocks that, I'm just thinning the herd a little bit. I'm not taking any out. I'm just kind of selling off a few positions. Some of them, like my Palantir, I sold off half of that. I like Palantir. I think they're going to do great, but looking at data, looking at the RSI, looking at a lot of these stocks that are overbought right now, and it's not just overbought on a weekly or monthly basis. It's now like overbought on a yearly basis. So it's significantly overbought. I'm anticipating a pullback to be coming. What's going to cause it? I don't know. Maybe the Fed does come out and shock us with a 25 basis point hike, and that completely throws the entire market into a tizzy. Lots of different things can happen. We saw before the market was doing amazing, and then COVID happened. It's the most random stuff that comes up that causes this to happen. So this is why, for me, I try to look at the indicators to see what could potentially go on that I can see, but always expect the unexpected. Powerwall in Western Australia costs 18K Australian dollars, including installation. Not much rebates, but you guys are great with energy there. So maybe it's just because of the fact that energy is doing so well there and the demand is high. There's no point in doing the rebates because the demand is so high. Like, why give away money when you don't have to? That's just my thought on it. Yes, Michael. Yes. Sell off soon. I don't know how soon. Looking at RSI and the charts, we could be potentially on a track and a trend where we go up to this overbought range. cool off and settle a little bit, let the RSI cool off, and then run some more, that could be what we are on right now. Again, I do think we're going to pull back. I just don't know when that pullback is going to happen or how far down it comes. I do think we're going to fill that 146 gap at least. We've got a few other gaps below that. Maybe we don't fill them, but looking at the potential recession at the end of the year, it could be something that we fill that 114 gap. December or January could be when that ends up filling, but we might run until then. Looking at historical data, when the Fed pauses, we've actually seen all-time highs when it comes to the S&P and indices. We've seen all-time highs, and then we get that massive drop and pullback. So maybe we do run. Maybe we're going on this upward trend where we're going to go and hit these. Actually, let me see if I could bring it up on here for you guys and see. Let me pop this up here for you. There we go. Because we can look at the RSI and longer ranges. And so when we are looking at it, so RSI on a daily basis, we're at 76. So again, very overbought. When you're looking at it on a weekly basis, it's at 57. So we theoretically still have room to climb. When we were crashing down, we had the RSI was like at 22 on a daily basis, but on a weekly, it was at 45. So there was still room to come down. Again, now this is the inverse of that. Maybe we cool off in the RSI on a daily basis, but on the weekly, we can still continue growing. On a monthly, we're at 49.91. We're right in the middle. So again, this could be an indication that we do end up running like this. We run. So, I mean, look at this massive run we're on. We're creating gaps all over the place on the way up. But this could be where we run, pause a little bit, let the RSI cool off, run a little bit more, and it'll push up the RSI when it comes to the weekly and monthly basis before we pull it down again. So this could go on for maybe a couple of months. Obviously I would love to see it go on for a couple of months. And if we see that happen, then, do what you will with your own portfolios. For me, I'm not going to sell anything in my main portfolio. I have already sold out half of my position in my my IRA. I sold it between 155 and 200. So I sold a little bit on the way up. Right now, the levels we're looking at are this 213 level. This is what we have been seeing. I'll bring that back up again here for you guys. So again, right here, I mean, we've had this line drawn forever at 213.06. So you look at that level here. I mean, you go back, this is where we bounced last time. And, we've just kind of been sticking there at that 213 level. And, since we've dropped below it, we've now bounced off of it once. We've bounced around this 208 level quite a bit, and now we've bounced off of it a second time. So we're at that 213 level. Can we break past that level and go higher? That's really going to be the question that we may get answered next week. 69 shares, Michael, here's my thought on this. First off, I can never give financial advice as to whether you should or should not sell any stocks. However, 69 shares to me is one of those signs from above that are saying, hey, 69 shares, that's a sign of you're going in the right direction. Do you sell it? Do you not? That's a decision you've got to make. Which direction do you want to go? Are you profited? Are you profitable on that 69 shares? Do you want to take that profit? Where do you think we are going to go in the future? What is your long-term thesis? Do you trade or are you a long-term investor? Lots of different questions to ask, and hopefully answering them for yourself will help answer whether you should or should not sell them. Me personally, I'm not. NVIDIA sharp rise pulling up Tesla, assuming analysts begin to see Tesla has AI portfolio. Agreed. And what I think is awesome about it is the fact that AI is clearly screaming through the roof right now, but Tesla's not being viewed entirely as an AI company. So it's not running like everyone else's, which is nuts considering, what Tesla is doing for, real world AI for functional things versus just, what we see in the computers, which is awesome too. But seeing what Tesla is doing it for when it comes to robotics and vehicles is far beyond what everybody else is doing. So that realization hasn't fully hit in yet. So yeah, that's it'll be interesting when people actually come to that realization of what Tesla is doing when it comes to AI. Yes, Robert, Neo still giving you a headache. I am actually. I almost bought in yesterday. I was so busy when it dipped down to $7. I wish I had bought in then. But I have 15 shares. I don't have a lot of it, and I'm down. That's the biggest. That's the position I'm down on the most. I'm down 66%. My cost basis is now just over $22. So I think the Chinese stocks are going to do well in the future. It's just a matter of when in the future, and do I want to sell for a loss or just hold and wait? I think I'll hold and wait. I actually might buy a little bit more to lower my cost basis and DCA into it a little bit more. So that's for me what I'm doing. It's not enough cash for me to say, hey, I need to sell this to free up cash. I think I'm going to just look at it as a position that I can grow for the future. Similar to what I'm doing with my other positions, but I'm thinning a few of the because some of them I added a lot into to lower my cost basis. So I'm now at the point I want to be at where I can sell a few shares from those and make myself a little bit of a profit on them or a minimal loss, lower my cost basis, and then kind of regroup for later. So that's kind of where I'm looking at. That's what I did with Palantir. I did a little bit with SoFi. What else did I just sell a little bit of? There was something else I sold a little bit of, but it wasn't much. I freed up, a few $100s of cash to get myself back to 10% cash, and I'm feeling much better about that. But man, I got to tell you that TSLY, and I know, and talking with Gort, he likes TSLL, so I jumped into that as well, and I jumped into like right around 950, and it's up to like $12 or $13 now. So both of those I like. They're riskier plays, but I definitely jumped into those, and I love the TSLY dividends. That's bonkers. 10-hour balance beam. Thanks, Kenneth. I appreciate that. I try to keep everybody even keel. I'm a big fan of going against the grain in many cases, especially when it comes to emotional trading. So, if we're running on the FOMO, I like to squash that FOMO. It's great to be excited, love the excitement, love seeing the run, but don't get into that FOMO and let yourself trade based upon emotions. It's just a dangerous place to be. If you've looked at charts yourself and you've done your research and you say, you know what, I think we have more room to grow and I want to buy in here because I see more upside from here, that is a logical approach to investing. You've done your due diligence and research. You feel that based upon the data that you have seen, we will go up from here. You will like the direction that we're going. You will like the return that you would get on that investment if that ended up coming to fruition. Go for it. Have at it. But if you're going in there and you want to throw your money in because like, oh my God, I'm afraid I'm going to miss out. We're going to go up to the moon. We're never coming back down again. I encourage you to take a step back because that's very emotional when it comes to your trading. So just be cautious when you're making your decisions as to what is driving you to make your decision. Alan, I predict a run to 1,000 before a 5-to-1 split by next week. That'd be awesome. Actually, Peggy put out a video, when we think the next split's going to be. And I think 2025. I have not watched this video yet. I just saw he had posted over on Twitter, but if you guys want to check it out, I love Peggy. I'm going to have him on here again soon. And yeah, so I think the next split is either going to be 2025 or 2026. I think a lot of it's just going to do with timing of how long it takes the market to turn around and things to come to fruition for FSD regulations, things like that. But I think between 2025 and 2026, we're going to see the next split. Don't know if it's going to be a 5-to-1. It may end up being another 3 or 4-to-1. So I think that $1,000 level will be the mark that we see it at. But we do have to remember that the valuation at that level is going to be significant. It's not like, last time we saw run to 1,000, we split, run right to 1,000, split. So because of the fact that you're splitting the way we're splitting, running to 1,000 is a lot harder every time you split. So I know you're joking, but yes, I think a split's coming, just not next week. What's going on, David? Took me a long time. I have 100 shares. Do I keep them all or sell in 5 years? Well, see what happens in 5 years. I have a strong feeling we're going to look back at these times in 5 years and be grateful we held. That's my opinion. I think we're going to be there. Lang, I sold Neo a few months ago. China is not doing well to politics and bad debt, politics. Many Chinese people leave China to migrate to US, Asia, US, China, Canada, Thailand. That's true. But we also have to remember that there's a lot of Chinese people as well. So a lot are leaving, but a lot are still there. And a lot of them who are leaving do still have ties back to their homeland. And so when you start seeing a neo coming to these other countries as well, sometimes they are having people go into other countries intentionally to try and plant some seeds to bring that in there. Now all of a sudden neo comes over to the US. A lot of Chinese people start buying neo because they are familiar with it. It's a Chinese made company. So, that could end up happening in the future to help these companies grow. But who knows when that's going to happen? Yep, Raymond, FOMO for long term is why I am not selling in fear of not able to buy back lower later at a lower price. That's why I play the strategy I do. And I've had people asking me what my strategy is. I haven't talked about it in a while. Um, hasn't changed. Hasn't changed at all. My strategy right now, for those of you guys who know, most of you have seen and heard this, is I put in $20 every single day into Tesla. If we dip below $150, I'm going to increase that to $25 a day. So I'm doing all of that, but I'm also saving $30 a week in cash. I like to keep that 10% cash buffer. So I'm keeping that 10% cash. So if we end up dipping down, naturally my cash position will be growing. So I can increase my cash daily ads. And then as we dip down further, I have certain levels like 125, 110. If we get to those levels, I will deploy more cash. All depends on what's going on with the entire market at the time. But I will deploy more cash at those times to be able to buy. So I'll never reach the exact bottom, but because of dollar cost averaging in this strategy, I'll be closer to the bottom. I'll probably most likely be within the lower, 5 to 10% of the bottom. I'll be close to that. I'm fine with that. I don't need to catch the exact bottom. But if I'm near that lowest 5 to 10%, that just means that when we grow back up, it's a conservative approach. So while I may not catch the biggest runs that we go on, I won't lose as much either. And because I'm not going to lose as much when I buy at those lower prices, I don't need the stock to run as much higher to get those same gains because I've bought at a lower price. And that's just my conservative strategy. And it's been working out for me so far. Lang, I sold some Nvidia, then it continues to go up. No to predict Nvidia or any stock. Dude, seriously, Nvidia, these AI stocks, like I got it's a huge bubble. Actually, I don't even know if I can. Let me see if I can jump in here. Like looking at Nvidia, look at this gap. Like you see this gap down to 306. People are like, oh, it's never going to get down to 300 again. Tesla's done it. Tesla's done giant gaps and come back down to fill it. Again, their RSI 73 on a daily basis, 86 on a weekly basis. 72. It's ridiculously overbought when it comes to Nvidia. There has to be a sell-off coming soon. And this sell-off is most likely going to trigger a bunch of other sell-offs going on as well. So again, I can't predict the future, but just looking at simple data like this, massively overbought. And even look back here, super overbought, dipped down. Now it's back up again. So just be wary of what is going on when you see things like gaps and massive overbought stocks. What's another one that's out there? Like Palantir, and a reason why I was selling that one. Massive gap down here, 76. Are we going to fill that gap? I don't know. But there's also a gap at 1029. So for me, selling some of these between $14 and $15 just made sense. Oh, look at this. I'm not even sharing my screen with you guys. I'm so sorry. Oh, good golly. Joys of live stream. So anyway, yes, let me go back to Nvidia and then so Nvidia, we've got, daily RSI is 73, weekly is 86.73, monthly we're at 72, super overbought. Palantir, what the heck? Oh, so again, we've got this gap. RSI is at 82, weekly RSI 73, monthly RSI that's still lower at 56.97, but all of the other data just indicating to it's overbought and most likely going to come down. C3AI I know is a massive one that's been running like crazy as well. So we got big gaps, but the RSI here isn't that bad. 57 for C3AI, 57 on the weekly. Oops. And 38 on the monthly. So, that one there got squashed hard, not as bad. So just a lot of different things that I'm paying attention to when it comes to all of the other stocks as well. And sometimes when you have a massive run into a bubble type situation like this, that pops and it kind of brings a lot of the entire market down. Um, so those are just some of the things that I'm looking at. Thinking about the relation between the EV bubble that we saw for the last couple of years and this AI bubble, there's just a lot of future excitement getting priced into these sectors. And there's nothing wrong with that. I think that's a good sign, a good indication to see, all right, this is something that is going to happen in the future. This has very strong revenue and bottom line implications for any of these companies. Now we pay attention to which companies are going to be the winners when we get to that point. And obviously, I think Nvidia is going to be one of them. Tesla will be one. Palantir, I think, is going to be one as well. So those are the ones I look at and I say, okay, once the dust settles from all this excitement, then I can start deploying some of my money into the companies that I want to be in that sector. Hanif, split in 2024 might be too early. Thinking about if we do get this recession at the end of this year and the stock market pulls way back, knowing when the elections are going on, we may not see a run in the stock market again to a true bull market again, long-term bull market, I mean, till after the elections. So that might not even start until September, October of 2024. If that's the case, we're going to need some time for stock prices to run back up again before we are going to get ourselves to a point where a split um, is really viable. Let me see. Raymond, ask Bing ChatGPT about average analyst price target in a year. That said ranges 85 to 366 with average of 212. Guess recent rise blew that away. Yeah, that was there's a lot of price targets. I know when it comes to Palantir, I think the average price target's like between 10 and $11. So we're way over that. Thoughts on AI? I think AI is going to be awesome. Um, I think it's going to move fast. The thing when it comes to AI is thinking about the internet. The reason civilization moves forward and has massive leaps is all based upon speed of information. So obviously, when we went from no internet to internet, that speed of information went up exponentially. So once we figured out how to really get information out there on the internet and it really took over, see how fast we grew since then. Same thing happened with TV and radio. Same thing happened with the telephone. Just the way we can communicate with each other and speed of information flow is just how we grow. AI is going to be that next step because a human can only search the internet so fast. AI is just going to get faster and faster, and it's going to start teaching itself, which is scary to think about, but has massive implications for the potential growth and speed of information in the future. That all is going to end up coming out in the next few years. Obviously, this is why Elon is like, we need to regulate this because if it gets run away, it could get dangerous. Um, but yeah, I think AI is going to be very much like the internet. And it's not like you couldn't just buy stock in the internet, but what companies are utilizing AI in a fashion that's going to really change the landscape of the world. And that to me is why I'm looking at the companies like Nvidia, AMD, Palantir, Tesla, Google, Meta even. So, we joke around about Meta and Mark Zuckerberg, but they're going to be utilizing it. We're going to get to that metaverse and they're going to be utilizing AI, and that's going to be significant. So whether I want to give my money to Mark Zuckerberg or not, is a totally different question, but I think the company will do well with AI. PowerPoint Helen, Tim, aren't the RSI numbers based on a trailing average? Here we go. If so, if the trailing average is artificially suppressed by market sentiment, then when the market turns, those numbers don't work. It's not an exact science. There's obviously a lot of other things to go into it, but it's just one of those indicators that I see of. It's not necessarily a trailing data. It's just, hey, where are we at right now? So it's not future looking for sure. But when we look at, hey, this is where we're at, if it is trailing data, thinking about the fact that if it's trailing data and we're at the overbought stage, That means that the longer we're in that overbought stage based upon trailing data, the more reason there is for a sell off to be coming. So while it does use that trailing data, it at least gives us that indication as to what we could potentially see in the future. Yep, Raymond, exactly. They announced China announced the extension of the EV credits that'll help may have helped Tesla rise today. I have no doubt it did. That was big news. Yep, Google, Microsoft, Palantir, Nvidia, all in AI. Who's the winner? I think they're all going to be winners. Honestly, I think they're all going to do well. Thinking about the fact that many of these companies built themselves. So one of the caveats that a lot of companies in the past had were they built themselves very statically. Look at Legacy Auto. Legacy Auto has themselves in a place where they're not agile. Tesla has learned from that. That's why Tesla can change on the fly in the middle of their production and make things better. Tesla has built themselves to be able to adapt as future goes on. Older companies don't do that. A lot of these tech companies built themselves to be able to adapt as we move forward. Because of the fact that they've done that, they will do well with AI. And the more they utilize AI, the easier it's going to be for them to adapt. And so, because of that, I think those companies are going to do well in the future as well. What's going on, Jerry? Lang, C3 AI, my view. Let me jump back into that. I was just talking about it for a hot second, but let me bring that back up again. I know Jen Strahan was talking about that a while ago. She jumped into it when it was super cheap, so she must have made big bucks on that because this thing has gone up significantly. I mean, thinking about the fact that we were at 1016 back at the end of the year, and we've gone up a 3x in 6 months. That's madness. 5 months. Totally insane. So, looking at the fact that we had no volume, no volume, no volume, no volume, and then boom, all of this volume coming in with it being beat down, it's one of those things where, hey, maybe there was some really good signs of we should be getting into this. If we believed in AI going into this, let's get into it. I don't know enough about the company itself to say, hey, this is what the future is going to be. It could be one of those companies that maybe it gets bought out. Maybe somebody else goes in there and buys them out. And that ends up happening. Totally possible. I can see that happening with C3 AI, that they do whatever they need to do and get bought out by Google, Meta, whatever it is. Thoughts on Nvidia going up 30% in a day? Pure FOMO excitement. Obviously, their guidance helped, their earnings helped, but when you already have this enthusiasm behind AI, and then Nvidia comes out with great earnings, that's what you see. Now, obviously, we're in this. It is at a place I would not touch it to buy it personally. Way too overbought, way too high, giant gaps down below. It just smells to me of danger zone purchasing right now. We've seen it happen with Tesla in the past as well. So anybody who was in that and caught that run, good for you. That's awesome. I know if I had been in Nvidia, I had sold mine previously for a profit, so I wasn't concerned. But had I been in it, I definitely would have sold some of my position to take a profit for sure. Where did Tesla get the batteries to qualify for the full 7,500 tax break? Marty, I got to look into that. I just happened to see, Karav mentioned it on here, and Sawyer Merritt had tweeted it out. I did not get a chance to read the article. So Karav, if you're still on here and you happen to know the answer to that, that would be awesome. Just curious as to what it was that they did to qualify for the EV tax credit. Any thoughts on the new Apple VR headset? Maybe bad news for Meta. Anyway, too expensive right now and not clear what are killer apps. Honestly, I haven't heard about the Apple VR headset. I've got to ask my buddy who works at Apple. He might actually be part of running that whole program. I know he was in the program doing a lot of the audio. Then he was doing a lot of the stuff for the vehicle project. And he was asked to do like lead one of the projects, and it was too much for him to do. didn't want to be in the limelight like that. So he stepped down. So he a lot of time gives me the I cannot confirm nor deny information, but I can ask him if he's actually involved in the VR headset. Uh, green shirt. So somebody had mentioned the other day about my green and red shirts, and I had purchased these new ones because these are mine. I'll show you guys. This is my merch. So this is what I'm. When I go to work out, I use this. But I have my "Be a Good Human" shirt. It's gonna suck, but not super suck. I have a lot of stuff in my merch store, but bringing up a good point, I should be purchasing them in red and green so that I can put them on here and do what I was doing in the past. So I will be doing that. I will be purchasing my merch in red and green. And if any of you guys are interested, it's all in the link down below as well. Lots of different options down there. There's some stuff for Father's Day as well if you guys are interested with that coming up. Let's see. What else do we have going on? What else is going on in the news? Man, it's warm in my apartment. I don't have AC. It's hot here. I don't know where you guys live, but like we're in a heat wave at the moment. Well, not technically a heat wave, but it like almost hit 90 degrees today in Connecticut, which is very unusual for this time of year. But in Connecticut, anything can happen. Let me see here if I can see anything. Just jumping into Twitter, see if I can get some information on that for you, Marty, as to why we are qualifying for the EV tax credit. Let me see. Sawyer. Let's see. All right. Let's do this and we'll just read it together. Nope, this way. Boom, 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 boom. All right. So it was before the rear-wheel drive and long-range versions only qualified for $3,750. See, it doesn't break it down on here for, let me see. And it looks like a lot of states are starting to do some stuff too. So he broke down in this part of the thread here what states. So, looking at Model 3s, maybe I go and get a Model 3 instead of my Model Y. I mean, look at this. EV incentives, getting the rear-wheel drive Model 3, which I really don't want a rear-wheel drive, but under $30,000. Look at this. Vermont, $26,000 after all of the tax credits. That's ridiculous. Like when people are saying that, EVs and Teslas are too expensive. No, they're not. This is the stuff here that if Tesla advertised, that would be huge. This is the thing that people don't understand, that the vehicles are very inexpensive. And I think the biggest concern that anybody will end up having when it comes to Tesla is going to end up being just something new, something that they're unfamiliar with, having that, the battery life anxiety. Hey, is my battery going to die? Where can I charge my battery? Where are the charging stations? People don't understand how many charging stations are actually out there. Not as prevalent as gas stations, obviously, but where can we go? Then you have the concern of, well, what if my battery dies and I'm nowhere near a charger? It's not like I can just go get a gas can, come put some gas into my car, and then drive it to the next gas station. These concerns are legitimate for people who are questioning. And if anybody comes out to you guys, and I encourage you to do this, if anybody questions these things, that's them asking for more information for education. That's not them necessarily bashing Tesla or any EVs in particular. It's just, hey, I need to be educated on this. Hey, these are concerns that I have, and then we can provide them with the answers and solutions to those concerns. And they can be, oh, I did not realize that. Now I know, and I have the education and knowledge. Cool. That will help spread that knowledge to other people as well. Yeah, and then charge point. I mean, there's obviously plenty of other chargers. I haven't heard the best things about other charging stations as well, but that's just the reality, is that you can charge anywhere. There's a lot more charging stations than people realize, and Tesla putting up, I can't remember what that number was, significant amounts of charging stations, every 12 hours. It's silly how many are going up out there, and it's just going to keep on growing. So it's just a matter of educating the people, and I think those are the things that, if Tesla did do advertising, those are the things that I think that would make the biggest impact. Are, hey, by the way, the car is a lot more affordable than you think, and all that range anxiety that you have isn't really as bad as you need it to be. I mean, people thinking about the fact that people who would drive gas cars, the majority of them don't have technology. Sure, it may give you the range of gas that you have left and things like that. But when you're out there, a lot of these people are like, I just drive my gas car and I see when the gas is getting low. They just, you get a feel for your car, even with your gas car. You're like, hey, I'm at E, but I know I can still go 15 to 20 miles. Cool. You feel it. You just don't know that yet when it comes to an EV. People who I know who have Teslas, they understand that. They know. Then you just plan out differently. Like my friend who has his, when he goes on long trips, he goes, you just plan your trips differently when you go on long road trips. You're not just going to stop for 5 minutes to get gas. You're going to say, hey, you know what? We're planning this trip. We're going to do a bathroom break. We're going to grab some food to eat while the car is charging, and then we can get back into it. You kind of do a lot more things all at once. Just requires a little more planning. And that's really what it comes down to for a lot of people. Yeah, Tesla's becoming the next ExxonMobil. And that's really what it is. And, I've talked about it before. Elon has mentioned it. Saudi Aramco, thinking about where oil gets a lot of their money from is from gas. Obviously, they get it from a multitude of places, but, gas for vehicles is a big piece. And when you're looking at the fact that Tesla and their charging stations are basically going to be replacing that in the future, that's huge. That's something that a lot of people it doesn't even register on their radar. Now, granted, the pricing is going to be significantly different. So it's not like Tesla's going to be bringing in the same revenue from the charging stations, but that's going to be better for consumers because you're not going to have to spend as much money to fuel your vehicle. That's another piece that people don't understand is the long-term price when it comes to your vehicle. When you're looking at your vehicle over the life of the vehicle itself, how much are you spending on it? People just are so accustomed to looking at, month to month. Hey, what's my monthly bill? This is what I'm paying this month. And they look at, hey, my Tesla bill this month is significantly higher than my ICE vehicle bill this month. It doesn't register on their brain that over the long term, they're not going to have to be doing oil changes on their vehicle. A lot less maintenance overall. The vehicle is going to last a lot longer. You're going to get, easily, a few 100,000 miles out of these vehicles. And so doing all of that math and the extension of all of that is going to lower the cost of the full expense of that vehicle over the lifespan of it. And people just don't do that math. One thing actually, quick subject change. I saw in the news today that here in my state of Connecticut, very soon, I think as of next year or 2025, in Connecticut, they're requiring high school students to do financial literacy, which I think is absolutely amazing. You cannot graduate high school without financial literacy. I'm like, finally, we're doing this. Like, that's just silly that we haven't been doing it all along, but it'll be nice to know that we're teaching this. Now, I'm really curious as to what the curriculum is going to be, because if they're giving out curriculum that is going to be catering them to whatever they want to be done, a little different, but any sort of financial education, like here's how you balance, your checkbook or whatever it is. Here's how you balance your budget. Here's how you pay your taxes. Little things like that. I think that's pretty awesome. So while I'm not a huge fan of this state, I was pretty happy about that. Nutmeg power demands financial literacy. Seriously, living here in the Constitution state requires us to have a lot of financial literacy because, it's very expensive to live in Connecticut, and I don't think it's always worth it. Anyone have used Google AI Bard or not? You know what? I've been getting all the just because I'm on YouTube, and obviously Google owns YouTube. I've been getting a lot of emails about it. I haven't tried it out yet, but it keeps on telling me, "Hey, try it, see if you can help." I've heard great things about ChatGPT. I actually have my buddy. I downloaded the app. I haven't even played with it yet. Um, but so many good things out there. Like he's looking to lose some weight, and I was like, "Hey, I can work up a meal plan for you. However, you could just go into Chat GPT, and I'm sure Bard would be very similar. Go on there, you plug in, hey, I weigh X amount. I'm looking to lose this much weight. Give me a meal plan that And he's like, he literally said, give me a meal plan that doesn't include breakfast. And they said, all right, well, you should have this many calories to get yourself to this weight based upon where you're at, and here are the different meals you can eat, and they don't repeat. It was fast and very viable. So I, it's getting smarter and smarter. I just have not seen the Bard version of it. So I do not know what Bard is like. But it'll be very interesting to see. Oh, good. Yeah, I'm glad you've been using it too, Lang. Yeah, Chat GPT. Big fan. Again, I want to get in there and use it myself. I've even been recommended to use it for my other social media stuff. When I'm trying to come up with different content for that, just plug in there as like, hey, I want ideas for this. And then it'll give me a whole slew of ideas that I can put out there for my social media. And for those of you guys who don't know, I have two other channels. I have my Oracle Health and Fitness channel, and I just started up my Dad Jokes channel. So if any of you guys are looking for a channel, it's Oracle Dad Jokes. Just have some fun, give you guys a quick joke, quick laugh, because some days can be very stressful and you just need a laugh. So I've been building that one up. So if you guys want to subscribe to that, that'd be awesome. On all of my other social media. For those of you guys who follow me on Twitter, I put literally everything all in there. It's just Twitter's nice because I can put all the content in one place and I don't have to split it between channels. But that's all right. I'm doing well with YouTube. I'm not going to complain. What else do we have going on tonight? I'll hang out for like another 10, 15 minutes or so. Yep, Tesla. The next up was Tesla bot preparing the meals. Yeah, because you know what? You could do that because then your Tesla bot will use whatever AI it needs to calculate what meals you need. And I mean, I'll be a huge fan of that. I mean, thinking about like when I have my castle in Italy, you can go in there and be like, hey, AI bot, I want this. And it'll communicate to whatever Tesla bot is in the kitchen to cook it. And it'll start cooking up the exact meal that you want because it'll know what you're looking for. Just thinking about the implications we could have for the future, you may not even need a full menu at restaurants. You can literally go in there and be like, as long as you've got the ingredients, it's like, hey, these are the ingredients we have. This is what we can make out of it. Lots of great things. Yeah, Oracle dead jokes, Oracle dad jokes, but yes, they're gonna knock you dead for sure. Yeah, they are. They're pretty corny, but they're totally dad jokes for sure. Tesla is working on opening up web services for Dojo and allow AI training for some price to be determined. Yeah, that's going to be huge. And Elon said by the end of this year should be up and functional. So it'll be interesting to see where they take Dojo as well. Because again, Dojo is one of those things that's like it's in the works. We know it's there, but it's not really doing a lot yet. So what is it actually going to be providing? And that'll be very interesting to see. Competition with Amazon and everything. I mean, and that's one of the things that you look at is like, who is Tesla not competing with in some facet? Like, it's literally disrupting everything. I mean, obviously, Elon is spread even further when it comes to SpaceX, Twitter, Neuralink, all that. So, the amount of disruption that is out there that is happening over this decade is just mind boggling. Let's see what else we have. It's getting hot in here. I was going to go to New Hampshire this weekend, but the weather was supposed to be bad tomorrow. Now it's supposed to be nice. And so now I'm not going, but that's okay. I've got other plans. I've got a lot of catching up to do. I want to finish up that other channel. I want to get caught up on this. You guys who are members and patrons, you guys have been so patient. I've been trying to get my spreadsheets updated for you guys. I just haven't been on top of it and consistent. So thank you for your patience on that. I just need to get caught up on a lot of things. So I'm going to go on a local hike tomorrow and then see some friends tomorrow evening because it's very important to spend time with friends. Tesla's not competing with Mary Barra. So hilariously, um, Mary Barra came out with GM and said Tesla will not lead. Tesla will not keep the lead for long. And Alexandra comes on and she goes, "But wait a minute, we have a solid source that said that you've been leading this entire time." I was like, "Yes, so true." It's like, but if Tesla's not going to keep the lead, I thought you had the lead. Yeah, way to go, Mary. You led, and it doesn't matter. Thanks, Jerry. Appreciate that. Mark, hi Tim. Just watched a great interview with Kathy, Josh Brown, and his friend. Take a look when you have time. Prime time with Kathy Wood. Ooh, yeah. I'll have to check that out. I love Kathy. Um, don't always agree with her, but I like her view for the future and the way she approaches it. So I'm a big fan. I will put that on my radar to watch. Thanks, Mark. Michael Anthony must sell Tesla on Monday before another dip to buy others, starting a rally for the lows. And that's again, we could be on one of these. They've got a dead cat bounce on the way as we're falling. We could be on the reverse on the way back up right now. That could be what's happening. We could be on this upward trend where, we're going up, but we're gonna we go up, dip, go up, dip, go up, and dip. So that could be what we're on right now. Um, just not sure. But if we do see some dips, I'm still going to be dollar cost averaging either way. Doesn't phase me. Doing the Biden shuffle. Unfortunately, the Biden shuffle leads to him breakdancing on the floor way too often. Yeah, yeah. I have nothing. I have nothing but respect for my elders, for the wisdom that they can share with us. But, when it comes to who's going to be leading our country, it's got to be somebody who is more in touch with the majority of the population, and he's not. I'm sorry, somebody, even Donald Trump. These people who are in their 70s and 80s. There is a big disconnect between what's going to be in the future and what's currently going on. The people who are really in the trenches right now versus what is transpiring, from what they know. And they can say that they think they know. And I deal with it with my superiors at my job. And it's like the way I look at it is, as a man, if you've got a wife, girlfriend who's pregnant, and you say, "Hey, I understand what you must be feeling." That's total horseshit. You have no friggin' idea what it feels like to be pregnant because it's impossible. You can't know what it feels like to be pregnant because you cannot get pregnant. And so that's what I feel like we get from a lot of our government right now, especially those who are in their 70s and 80s, is they're like, "We understand what it's like." It's like, bullshit. You don't know what it's like. You're worth multi-millions of dollars, somehow got yourself to have a net worth significantly greater than anybody else who could have possibly had that kind of net worth with the amount of income you have coming in. It's a massive disconnect. You do not know what it's like. And we need somebody who has something that's more in touch with what is truly going on in the heart of America to know. And yeah, sorry for that tangent, but yeah, that's how I feel. Uh, Mary was a very smart leader with Nicola. Yeah. I mean, look at she clearly knows what companies are going to be the future and to partner with them. So funny too that Jim Farley and I didn't see the full interview with him, but him explaining how he's like, "Yeah, we thought for sure it was the mining of the materials that was going to be the important part, but what we realized is the refining." It's like, "Oh, you mean the reason why Tesla went out there and saw that refining was the bottleneck and created and built their own refinery?" Yeah, that's probably why, because they saw it. So that's just proof that Elon and Tesla have the foresight way better than everyone else. Mary sleeps on the factory floor every day. If only. I would love to see that. Yeah, she wouldn't be able to get back up. There's no way. What drives the difference between Elon and a lot of other CEOs is what drives them. And it's just all of humans, all humanity comes down to what drives you to get up in the morning. If you're getting up and the reason for getting up is like, I have to go to my job because I have to make some money because I have to pay my bills, there's a chance that your excitement for life is shit. And that's just the reality of it. But if you're getting up because you're like, I have to go to my job because I have all of these people that I need to supply and service. I've got all of these things that need to get done because I really want to make a huge difference in their lives. There's a very good chance that you are happy with your life and you're excited to get up in the morning and get to your job because you're making a difference in somebody else's life. That's the biggest difference. I do not see Mary Barra as being somebody who is looking to make a difference in the greater good of all of humanity. She's looking to make a difference in the greater good of the people she is concerned about. And that is a very small circle as compared to Elon, who is looking out for all of humanity. Rivian and Lucid, what are your views on them? I think they're going to be okay, but the next 12 months are going to be rough. If they can make it through the next 12 months, I think they'll be okay. They might end up getting to a point where they get so beat down that we end up seeing like Ford maybe ends up buying Rivian because the truck line makes a lot of sense to go with Ford, and Ford is going to be hurting, but they would have the cash to be able to say, we're going to buy Rivian and utilize that line to really build up our brand. Plus, Rivian would be competition for Ford. So they're basically buying their competition. We might see something like that happen in the next 12 to 18 months. So I don't think they're going to go away entirely. Lucid really depends on if the Saudis want to save them. EVs are clearly the future. Saudi Aramco, the Saudis would have not purchased. They wouldn't have purchased Lucid as much as they did if they didn't understand what the future implications of EVs are. So I think they're going to do something to save them. But yeah, it's going to be a rough ride for sure. Trump can at least hold a sentence. You're not wrong, but even in some cases, Trump's sentences aren't the greatest either. I think so. I thought my revelation when it comes to politics today was a lot of people who get into politics are doing so from an emotional standpoint, very much like investing. You don't want to invest with your emotions. And a lot of people who are getting into politics do so because they're emotional about politics. I think that's a problem why here in the US we have become so divergent, is because there's a lot of people who are so passionate and use their emotions. When you get into it, there should be a lot more logic being used in a lot of different areas that aren't being used. Like thinking about the fact that they're using the debt ceiling right now, like, oh, all of, these people would suffer if we didn't end up doing this. It's like bullshit. It's like, first off, you have to raise the debt ceiling because you're not spending money wisely, because you're pissing it away on a whole bunch of stuff. You're pocketing a whole bunch of it. It's going to your buddies and your lobbyist friends. That there has nothing to do with the debt ceiling, other than the fact that if you didn't take all of that money and shove it away into somebody else's pocket, you wouldn't have to raise the debt ceiling. But they're using emotions to change all of this, and it drives me nuts. And emotions should not be allowed to be in politics either. But unfortunately, the people who are emotional are the ones who want to get into politics. Most of the people who are logical don't want a piece of that because it's so emotional and they don't want to get into it. I could not resist buying another Tesla today. It was going up and I passed Tesla share tanks. Why? Yeah. Yeah. It's an emotional swing, Mark. It's really what it is. You get that. It's the emotional swings. I had to teach myself to reverse that mentality. When I reversed that mentality, that's when I started seeing more success. Is when you're like, you know what? Buy when people are fearful, sell when people are greedy. That's it. Or hold. You don't have to sell, but hold. Do you think the gap at 146 will get filled? I do. I think it will get filled. Just don't know when. I don't know if we're going to keep bouncing up the way we're going or if we're going to come down from here. But I think within the next 12 to 15 months, that gap will get filled. You can know what it feels to be pregnant after eating a gallon of chili. I've had enough Mexican food to know that feeling. I've had plenty of food babies in me. But yeah, that I still don't think it's the same. However, might be close. Ford and GM have no chance. Where is their dojo? Ford and GM have a chance to be automotive makers still. That's it. Maybe if they can make it through it. But that's all they're going to be. And that's the thing that people don't understand is Tesla is not going to be and isn't just an automotive maker. Those other companies are. and they are not in a position to change themselves to be anything other than just that. Mark, if Tesla fills a gap at 146, I'll sell my house, wife, and kids. I'd be careful with that one, Mark. Me personally, I still think we're going to go lower than 146. But yeah, I think we're coming down. Let me see. Yep, CATL is coming out. The sodium ion battery, once scaled, will be much cheaper as a raw material price. It's like a tenth of lithium. Downside is not high performance. Exactly, Raymond. But those are going to be the batteries that they put into the compact car for Tesla, because you don't need to have high performance. That's not what those cars are designed for. They're going to get a decent enough range. They're going to be for people who are just commuting around where they live, just like I do. It's going to be the most ideal situation because it's going to keep the cost of the vehicle down significantly, and they're going to be able to produce them at a very high scale. So that's going to be awesome. I can almost guarantee you that those are the batteries they're going to be using in the compact car, and we'll probably hear about that at the end of this year, beginning of next year. Lucid's done 100K luxury sedans aren't a big market, especially when they have to compete with Tesla Model S, and especially when we are looking at interest rates as high as they are. Because thinking about 7%, you're really paying 107,000, if not more, on that vehicle. So it's a lot. Jay Gonzalez, haven't seen you in a while, buddy. I'm getting rich, biatch. Yeah, yeah. Now remember, it's about long-term wealth. But if you guys are wise and take some profits, hey, have at it. Get yourself there. Whatever drives your boat and gets you excited, go for it. I love it. All right. Watching a stream now instead of Biden address to the nation. At least you don't use a teleprompter. You guys are my teleprompter. Every one of you guys that is commenting, you are my teleprompter, and I love it. Absolutely love it. That would be awesome. If you know what, if I ever become president, I'm going to do it this way. I'm just going to bring up all the things on here, totally transparent. Whatever you guys ask, I'll give you all the information I've got that I know. If I don't know, I'll just tell you I don't know, because that's what transparent and honest people do. And I got a giant fly in here. That's joining the live stream. Apparently he wanted to watch this instead of Biden as well. Yeah, I don't know. I don't have TV, but I'm sure I could go on and watch it. The only time I ever really watch anything is like when Jerome Powell comes out to speak, because it actually impacts me. What Biden has to say, I don't know. I could care less. Most politicians just piss me off. Yeah, pay attention to Rivian Weekly in a few months' time. Yeah, I'm not interested in buying them as stocks at all. Those would be stocks to me that would, if they're completely beaten down and suppressed, I might pick up a little bit for a quick bump, just anticipating the fact that they might get a pop. But even so, I wouldn't put enough money into it to really make a big difference. So I probably wouldn't even go that route. I'd rather put that money into something like Tesla, even on a fractional basis. And I actually got to look, because my dad was saying that TD is now transitioning over to Schwab, and Schwab does do fractional trading. I haven't gotten the information on it yet to switch over, but once I do, I'll get you guys posted on that. I use SoFi. I love SoFi. I have no problems with them whatsoever. The question I have about Schwab, and if you guys know, you can let me know in the comments, is can I do recurring buys? Because that's one of the big things I love about SoFi, is the fact that I could do a recurring buy. Like I could put in $20 every single day, and it doesn't phase it. So if I can do that for Schwab, then I wouldn't mind keeping all of my money in one spot. So I may switch a little bit over, but I do still like SoFi. I really do. So we'll see how that goes. Guys, when you are a Biden age, you might use a teleprompter or two. I mean, yeah. Yeah. And he's got cheat sheets in his hand, and I'm surprised he doesn't have like an earpiece with people just feeding him answers, which maybe he does, and we just don't know it. Anyone here keep up with the battery research company called QuantumScape? So QuantumScape, my dad and I jumped into that when they had their big pop. We jumped into it, like we heard the news, it had their initial bump, we jumped into it, and then it ran up significantly past that. So we both made very nice profits on it. And then we sold out as it was coming down and clearly crashed significantly. Actually, let me take a look at the chart on QuantumScape. Oh yeah, yeah. I'll bring this up on the screen here. Hold on. Yeah, QuantumScape. So looking at it here, this is like we jumped in here. I think I got in when it was like 30 or 40 bucks around here. Then shot up to 80, and of course intraday was up to 130. So I wasn't in there. I wasn't in at that point. I sold out around this level here. But then of course it came bang, 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 down, and now we're here at 666, the devil's mark. Yeah, not looking so pretty on that one. Looking at the weekly, yeah, I mean, I don't know enough about them. But I do know that, with the solid state battery that they were supposedly having coming out, I don't know where they're at with that. And like Marty, as you said here, are they scalable? That I don't know. So yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't know enough about them right now. If maybe at this price here, maybe at $6, it's worth throwing some money at it and waiting, because you never know when they're going to come out and say, hey, we have figured out the solid state batteries and they are scalable. Bang. That's a massive pop that you can get off of that. So it's a gamble play. Could be worth it. I don't know. But looking at it right now, it's not there yet. And just the fact that they're that beat down over this time and going into the potential places we're going to be going when it comes to the economy, they could get buried entirely. So that's a company that if you want to get into it for anything other than a quick potential pop, just make sure you do your research on it and dive further into the company to learn about them, to see if they're even going to survive. ENPH making microinverters for solar panels. ENPH, I love ENPH. I was kind of mad that I sold them, but the fact that I had sold out, and here's why. Whoops, wrong screen. Boom, 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 boom. Here's why I'm excited about my move in ENPH. So ENPH, I've made profit on them 3 times. And the most recent time I bought in at 140, I ended up selling at about 165. Missed this massive run. Shame on me. So I could have made significantly more profits. Whatever, I still made money. But now it's back down to 181. I mean, it came down below where I had sold it for at one point. So I think they're a great company. I think they're going to do well long term. But the way I'm looking at it is, they're just starting to climb this massive downward candlestick. They're just starting to climb out of this. So, hey, RSI is a little bit lower, a little bit in the middle. Maybe it's worth buying back in. You've got this big gap here. So there's a very good chance that they're going to come up and fill this gap up to 220. So if that's the case, buying in right now at 180, hey, you've got about a $40 upside. Totally worth it. So maybe it's worth getting into there at this point. Again, those are little things I look at when we're swing trading, is just data like that. Very quick data. I don't have the time to go in to look at all the different other reports that are out there, the different levels, the 50-day moving averages, the EMAs, all of that stuff. I don't have time to get into all of that. I like the indicators I use. They seem to work for me, and I go with that. And I'm always paying attention to what other people have to say as well, who also use other indicators. So, oh boy, it's almost 7:30. I'm going to be heading off of here in a moment. Biden not too old. Al Pacino is a new father at 83. I mean, as long as you've still got some, juice left in your glass, you can still produce children. So, good for him. And I can't say that my great grandfather, from what I know, when he moved over here to the U.S., he was 60. And maybe my dad is on here. Maybe he can correct it. I don't know. But he was 60, and I believe he married a 19-year-old. And then I think he had 13 kids when he was living in Poland. I think it was Poland. We're guessing Poland, not sure. Had 13 kids there, ended up moving over to the US after, I don't know if his wife passed away, whatever happened. Came over here, married a 19-year-old, and had 12 more kids. And so he was 60 when he ended up having my grandfather. So, hey, he was definitely living like Elon would have been very proud of my great grandfather. Let's just say 15 kids. Elon would have been very happy with him. So, but yeah, it's, and to me, again, going back to the age thing, I have nothing again. I respect my elders, and I think some people really take care of themselves well. Some people who are in their 80s are still in touch with what's going on in reality. Some of them do have that mentality, like an Elon, where they're constantly learning new things. They always want to know what the newest stuff is, and they're always up to speed with things. I think that's awesome. Some people are always kids at heart. That's great too. So there's nothing wrong with that, but you can clearly tell the difference between those people who are and the people who are not. And all I'm saying is take everybody as from an individual basis, and that's what I'm going from, is just that. I've known people who are in their late teens, early 20s who are much more mature than people who are in their 50s and 60s. It's how we all gain our wisdom. My dead chess master. That's awesome. I love that. Hi, Tim. Would people keep their ICE vehicles if they cannot afford an EV? Yeah. So, well, what's going to end up happening is some people won't move over. Some people they still can't get the EV right now. Some people can't get a new car. Even buying a used Tesla right now is still going to be more expensive in most cases than buying like a used like Honda Civic, something like that. You can go buy a Honda Civic for $8,000 to $10,000. Chances are a used Tesla might be 15 to 20. So big difference there. So it's going to take a little bit more time for that to change. So it's going to be different, but that's where that compact car comes into play. Once we get that compact car out there, that's going to be the game changer. That's going to change the difference where people won't keep their ICE vehicles anymore because it will actually be cheaper to buy an EV. Then when we get to the point where that compact car now becomes a used compact car, now people are buying that used vehicle for like $10,000 to $12,000. Now that price parity is completely gone. I mean, we're already basically there right now when it comes to the Model 3. The overall average price of a Tesla is lower than the average price of an ICE vehicle. But there are still a lot of ICE vehicles on a price point basis that are lower than Teslas. That is only going to last for probably another year and a half to 2 years. So, yeah, at this point right now, people will keep their ICE vehicles, but that won't last long. All right. Well, on that note, I'm going to let you guys go. You guys have a wonderful weekend. I'm going to try and get a whole bunch of stuff caught up this weekend. So again, you guys, members and patrons, I'm going to get some information out to you guys. Hopefully get some new videos put up on all of my channels for you guys who follow over there. Otherwise, you guys have yourselves a wonderful weekend wherever you are in the world. I hope it's absolutely amazing for you, and we will see you guys later.